Hello. Today I would like to talk about pacifiers and the use of pacifiers when it is appropriate to use them with a baby and when it is no longer appropriate and in fact can lead to language delay. Two things to understand about the use of pacifiers is that when pacifiers were first invented, they were used for experiments on seeing how we can stimulate brain development in babies. So we know that in the first 6 months of life or the first 8 months of life, whenever a child is able to sit up by himself, unassisted. So for some children it's at 6 months, some children it's not till 8 months. And how soon you're able to sit up unassisted, as long as it's in that range of 6 to 8 months, is unrelated to intelligence. It's just developmental range of differences in children. And we know for sure that an infant sucking on a pacifier in the first 6 to 8 months of life actually stimulates brain cell development. But as soon as the child is old enough to pick the pacifier up and put it in his or her mouth by themselves, that's the time when you should stop using a pacifier. Now, let's look at the dilemma that many mothers have when they're at the mall with their child or on public transportation with their child. They want to keep their child quiet, and subsequently they often will use a pacifier to keep the child quiet. However, after 6 to 8 months, it is not wise to do that. Subsequently, what can parents do instead of using a pacifier after the child is 6 to 8 months? Interact with the baby, interact with that infant while you're on the public transportation or while you're in the mall to keep the child interacting with you. Now, why is a pacifier not good after the time that a child has figured out that his hand can take the pacifier in and out of his mouth? The reason is because what do we do with our mouth? Besides eating, we use our mouth to form language, to communicate to others. And subsequently, if a child, after roughly 8 months of age, continues to use a pacifier, it slows down their understanding that words are used to communicate. Because with a pacifier in their mouth, it's very difficult to communicate. So ideally, pacifiers are very important for brain cell stimulation in the first 6 to 8 months of life. But we know that from significant research at Harvard University that after that time period, Burton White's research made it very clear that after that time, there is no developmental value of using a pacifier. It's only used to keep the child busy by sucking on something. However, one huge downside, if a baby is now 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, 12 months, a year old, walking and has a pacifier in their mouth, this could lead to a need for oral gratification that in adulthood can turn into wanting to smoke hookah or cigarettes because it's a conditioned response to wanting to gratify themselves by sucking on something. So, to end this clarification for today, it's important, as much as it's hard to believe, you want to not allow your child to use a pacifier after the age that they're able to put it in and out of their mouth by themselves. That's how I raised my 6 children, for example. We used pacifiers up until they were able to sit up unassisted, and then the pacifiers just disappeared. Thank you for listening.
نجرب. حط المسدس اللي لونه أخضر فاتح مرسوم عليه خطوط منحنية لونها أخضر غامق بالفتحة يلي شكلها بيضوي مرسوم حواليها صورة فراشة لونها لون جناحاتها أزرق وراسها لونه أصفر عم تضحك. أنا عم حاول، يا ترى فيني حطها؟ عم جرب فيني حطها يا ترى؟ ما عم تنزل. أنا بدي أشر على البيت. يا سلام، أنا أشرت على البيت. أنا رح أشر على الثعلب. أنا أشرت على التفاحة الحمراء.